Hello everyone, welcome in today's video. And in today's video, I'm so much excited to announce that we have reached on Grid 1.0, the stable version. So previously I made a video where I introduced Grid framework and many people loved it. People have been giving it stars on GitHub. By the way, you can check it up on GitHub. I will leave the link and give it a star. And right now we have a stable version, and out of the box there are so many features that there is no any framework out there that can have. Be it Laravel, Ruby on Rails, Django, ORM, and everything. Grid beats them all. Let's see what Grid gives you out of the box when you install a new app. So the first thing that it gives you is authentication system. So it doesn't give you a simple authentication system like it comes like in Laravel or any other apps. It gives you a very solid JWT authentication system with roles. So by default, it comes with 3 roles. It comes with the admin, user, and even editor. So it doesn't stop there. We also give you social authentication, which I've not seen in so many backends. You know very well, like Laravel has the socialite package, but it doesn't come there by default. So this comes with social authentication by default. We give you Google plus GitHub and they are all working. You simply put the Google client ID and the secret ID in your Envy and that's it. It's working. And another thing that I've said, it comes with roles. That means you have the protected endpoints. You can restrict by roles. You can restrict by Auth. And you're just going to see that in action in a minute. So another one that comes with is production grade security intelligence. And this is powered by Sentinel. So Sentinel is another standalone package that I made purposely for security. You know, in most cases, most applications in the backend, security is something that comes last. You know, there is authentication that is different from security. Security, we're talking about threats, attackers, and other things. So if, for example, you want to track, so if you just go, for example, here on Sentinel, so if I just go here, for example, and I read for you what comes by default in Sentinel, okay, down here, you have things like WAF protection. That is like you have the firewalls, rate limiting, threat detection, logging, anomaly detection, AI-powered analysis, and on top of all those ones, we have a dedicated protected dashboard that gives you all the analytics, the threats, details of the threats, the actors, IP detection, all those things that are security. We have a dedicated dashboard that comes by default when you create a new app, that you can secure a login and you see how those ones who are trying to do SQL injection, the cross-site injection, like all those analysis, there is a dedicated dashboard that does that. I haven't seen any framework out there that puts security as fast as Grid framework. So another thing, or the third thing that I think is very important is API docs. So I know most of you think maybe this is something less, but this is something you always say it afterwards. Like to put API docs. This is good for new developers. Like if you are coming to a project and they have API docs, this is a lifesaver because you can look at the requests. What does the request require, the outcome of the request, responses, and all those things. So we come when we have, by default, we have 2 documentation providers. We have Scalar UI and Swagger UI. And by default, both are there. So you just choose. By default, we have Scalar UI, but you can just simply toggle to Swagger UI and use it. And it is just working just like that. And this one is using another package called GeneDocs. So if you just want to read about more about the GeneDocs, what they give you, you can just also just check it here. All these things, all these packages, I have them here. You can just open source, go and read the details of what they do. So for example, just zero config, everything comes working in the docs. You can just go ahead and read more about the features, what it gives you, and you'll be much excited. Another thing that comes with Grid by default is GORM Studio. So if you want to understand GORM Studio, is just like Prisma Studio. So those who know Prisma Studio, it gives you ability to look at your database in the browser, and you can do changes, you can run SQL and everything. You know, in the first version of GORM Studio, when I released it, it had some issues. People are like, if I just want to go and look at the studio in production, right now it comes with authentication, so it is protected. You can set the dashboard, like the username and the password in your environmental variables, and you protect it really, really well. And right now you can securely access it even in production. We're going to see this also in action, and I'm so much excited how it is so clean. So the next one is observability and performance monitoring. You know, this is something that I used to struggle with when the clients are asking you the performance of the app. You want to detect, for example, the N+1 queries, the slow queries. You look at how the endpoints are performing. What is the response time on average? Like how much average is your requests? You just know all those details from the observability. And this comes with also a dedicated dashboard that gives you ability to monitor the performance of your app. So you look at things like which one is the fastest route and which one is the slowest, what is the average response time. You know, you monitor all the performance. It's just like having like Prometheus or having like, you know, Grafana or just self-hosted in the app. Okay, so just also going to look at this, and this is powered by Parse, and you can just go also check on my here, and you also check Parse. Okay, can you just check Parse here? All those ones, by the way, they come with protected dashboards. As I've said, protection or security is #1 in Grid. So this comes with all the protected. You can disable them if you don't want. Just in the env, you simply put one line to disable them, and that's it. It's gone. So the next thing I just want to show you that comes with is file storage. So file storage comes when it is said to be used. So by default, we are using Minio, which is a self-hosted S3. You can use Minio, you self-host it on your VPS, and you start using it. If you don't want, you want to use R2, or you want to use the S3 or B2, they also come as first class. So they are there, you simply put the environmental variables, and that's it. It starts working as simple as that. So the file storage comes working properly, and you're going to see also that. Then finally, I think the second last is the powerful CLI. I put the heart and soul in building a very powerful CLI, because this CLI, you just use it to create the app, use it to seed, migrate, create resources. Like, understanding how powerful the CLI is so big. Okay, and you know, these features I'm just talking are like the visible ones, because we haven't talked about how powerful you can generate, like the generating code for the full stack and all that. We're going to be enjoying those ones as we are trying the app. Lastly, it comes with Docker setup ready for production or for deployment. Now, in most cases, these apps, when you're going to deploy a big app like that, because here we are looking at this Grid is really looking at developers who want to do self-hosting, you know, who want to go into building more mature apps. Okay, if you're just starting out and you want to build a small Next.js app, it's understandable. Just use Next.js, and I've built a lot of tools on Next.js. Okay, building Next.js app shouldn't take even more than about like 20 minutes to get a full stack working app with file storage and everything. I will show you a resource before I just go into the app where you can get to build all this. But if you want to build a mature system, you're talking about a system that's going to be used by hundreds and thousands of users. All these things matter a lot, security and everything. And deployment is a key, because you're going to end up deploying on dedicated servers or VPS. So the Docker setup is one thing because we're using a monorepo, and you have to be ready to do real deployment on your VPS. So the combination, you can deploy on the VPS alone, or you can deploy on a VPS via Docploy. And this comes with the Docker setup. Everything is set. You simply deploy using the Docker Compose, and that's it. That's why we're using Docploy in the first place, because I would have used Coolify, but I use Docploy to ease the deployment on your VPS. We're going to be seeing this in the coming videos. Right now, what I want to do right now is to show you how to easily get started with Grit. So let's go into the documentation. So in this video, we're just going to see how to get started with Grit. So let's go to the Grit documentation and get started. So the first thing you have to go is go to gritframework.dev. So I'm just here on gritframework.dev. I'm just going to click on docs. You can see us here on top. We are on version 1.0. And as I've said, it is so much exciting of what comes set by default. So if you just click here, we have prerequisites. If you are very new to Golang, okay, it is your first time, you haven't done anything, I recommend you go for Grit developers. Here you're going to find learning the basics step by step. And importantly, you also have this playground where you can just learn a concept and then go and try an exercise to learn Golang. Okay, if you have already followed my videos on Golang on YouTube, or you have done some videos, then let's go and get started. By the way, you don't need to be a very Golang expert to do Grit. Just know the basics, variables, structs and a few things, and you can just easily get started. So we're just going to go on to get started. Under get started, you can just do on quick installation on where we have this installation. Now, you will need to have Go installed, so you can just pull up just going to pull up my Git bash. So just go ahead and pull out like your Git bash. Okay, pull out your Git bash, and you can just go ahead and check all these things. Okay, you just need to have Golang installed, Node.js, PNPM, and most importantly, you need to have Docker installed. I know most of you are scared by Docker, but you don't have to. Okay, you don't have to get scared by Docker, because you simply need to install it, and that's it. You have the Docker desktop running like I do here. That's enough. What you need is the other commands are very easy. 1 or 3 commands. We're going to be practicing them as we move on. So you don't need to be an expert in Docker in any way. So the first thing to do is, if you haven't installed these other ones like the Golang and everything, I have added the links there. You can just go ahead and install Go. So right now what I'm just going to do is installing Grit. Okay, so if you already tried and installed Grit previously, so what I would recommend to avoid confusion would actually first going and remove the Grit that you have. So let's say I could just write here Grit version. So I'm just going to go here. Let me first make this bigger. So right now I'm just going to go ahead and test the Grit version. So right now I'm up to date. So I'm just going to say Grit version. And you can say I'm on 1.0. So basically, if you're just like on 0.16 or 0.14, you can just go ahead and first remove that version. Okay, there is also Grit update, but right now I just like actually remove the everything and install it afresh. So what you just do is rm, which is remove, and then you remove the path and everything. So just say which Grit. So this one will remove everything entirely of Grit. So I'm just also going to go ahead and remove this one, and then I install a new one. So when I do this, let me clear, and I'm just going to say Grit version. Okay, so you can see right now I don't have anything. Okay, Grit is not there. So I'm just going to go ahead and install Grit down here. Okay, so just go ahead installing Grit CLI. Just going to copy this and just go to in here. Just going to go ahead and paste the command. So this one's going to go ahead and install Grit CLI. That is going to help us scaffold everything we need. So building, creating the app and everything is going to be scaffolded by Grit. So right now, I'm just going to go ahead and give it a second to wait for it. Okay, let's give it a second. It won't take much. Depending on your internet, this can be faster or it can take some time. It's just like really depending on the internet speed. Okay, so my internet is average, as you can see. Finally, it has actually finished installing. I'm just going to clear and actually test if it has added it. So Grit version. And you can see I have Grit 1.00. Okay, so if you're watching this in the future, if the Grit version might have increased, just simply check on the corner here to see the current version should match with the version you have on the terminal. So right now we have the Grit. I'm just going to go to where I create my Grit projects and create our first project. So I'm just going to go here. I have all these projects. I have the Grit folder where I do the tests and everything. So I'm just going to right click and create here. Just right click. Let me see. Okay, I already have like this contact app. Just going to open. Just going to go ahead and open this. Git bash. Let me increase it. So I'm just going to say Grit new. Okay, so the name of the app, I'm just going to call it contact app YouTube, just like YT. So this is going to go ahead and scaffold the app. So as it's scaffolding, I just want to show you the link we're going to use. So under get started here, you're going to see that we have your first app. Okay, so this is building your first Grit app. I'm just going to click on your first app, and this has everything taking you step by step on creating your first Grit app. So I'm just going to go here, and the first thing is to go ahead and create your new app using Grit new contact app. So you need to have the CLI already, which we have already done. So then next you have to CD into the contact app, and then we go ahead. So I'm just going to pull up my CLI. Everything right now, it has finished. I'm just going to go ahead and CD into it. So CD into, it was contact app YT, like this. I'm just going to go ahead and from here, I'm just going to install dependencies for the client. Remember, on the client, for the server, we have Golang. On the API, we have Next.js. So we just need to install dependencies for the front end. So by running pnpm install, okay, pnpm install, and then after this, I want to open this in code. So just say code dot like so. So this is going to go ahead and install all the dependencies I need for this project. And in the front end, we're going to look at the structure of what we get out of the box. We walk through, we build and check everything I said in the video. So I'm just going to give it some few seconds to go ahead and install, and it is done, and it opens the project in VS Code. So this is our project right now. It is looking really good. Just going to close this here. So if you just look here, we have turbo.json, which tells that this is a turbo repo, monorepo. So this is a monorepo with the apps here and the packages. So in the packages, we share the types and some constants. Okay, you don't need to mind about these ones. We'll understand them as we move on. Right now, I just want you to get excited and start moving through the app. So the first thing here, we have the apps, and we have 3 apps basically. We have 2 apps for the front end and 1 app for the back end. So they have the API. We also have the admin panel. We also have the web, which can be used for anything. So right now you're going to see how we're using it. Like our blogs are all on the web. Then we have the admin panel for managing those blogs. So right now I'm just going to go ahead and cd and actually just go and follow the documentation to do some things. So the first thing is you install dependencies, of which we have done. The second thing is to start your Docker. Now, before you actually start the Docker, I would actually suggest, I think I will bring this step down here. I would suggest to check for conflict ports. Okay. Now, Docker, your Docker will run on specific ports, like binding from the machine and also in Docker. So just like two environments, and they are bound. That's why like we do port binding. Like you have port 3000 on your machine, we are going to bind it to port 3000 in Docker. So if, for example, port 3000 on your machine is already taken, it might cause some issues. So it is good to check the conflicts if there is any ports are being occupied. Now, there is one specific port I'm always worried about. That is the port for Postgres, because normally most of you have already installed Postgres and maybe they are running on your machine. So one port that has always caused a problem while other people are testing the app, great, it is port 5432. So I'm just going to go ahead and test if this port has something on it. Now, what I would recommend or request is that you open your Git bash with administrator rights. So just type in git bash, and here instead of just clicking it to open it, just click on run as an administrator. This one will give us ability to find, if we find any port being busy or being used, we can actually stop that port, or so you can stop that service using it. So the code for checking the port, you're just going to write here net start. So you say net start like this, and then here you pass anno, and then I'm just going to go here and they say find string, and I'm just going to say port 5432. So if it brings empty like this, like mine, it means that port is very clean. There is no anything running on that port. Okay. Another error might be coming from your previous Docker. If you are running Docker previously, Docker might actually be occupying this. So it would be also good to actually check if you have any Docker running. Right now you said there is no any container running right now. Okay, so this is good. But if you find like there is any service using it, then you can just go ahead and stop. Normally, most of the time is the Postgres, local Postgres that you used on your machine. So you can use this command net stop, like this Postgres SQL. This is going to stop this service from using it. Okay. So, or alternatively, you have three options. You can either stop the service which is using the port, or you can like uninstall that service with Postgres. You can uninstall the Postgres, or you can simply change the port. So I've been changing the port in previous times, but right now I simply just stopped the service so that I just running on 5432 very well. So you can just also go ahead and update in the Docker Compose and the env, change the port 5433, and then leave the other one to be used like that. But I find it, most people saying that this is complex, like changing every time. It's not good, so it's good to stop the service and use the port. So when that one is done, I'm just going to, if you check that there is no any conflict, the first thing to do is start your Docker. So right now, make sure that your Docker is open like this. Okay, Docker desktop. I'm just going to go back here in the app, in the terminal. I'm just going to run Docker compose. Okay, Docker compose app -d. This is the command, or like two commands that you're going to need, like for starting Docker and for stopping Docker. Okay. Other things, you can just simply Google them. If you just run into a different problem, just simply copy that problem, paste it in AI. It will just help you out, stop or start the Docker. So I'm just going to go ahead and start the Docker. Now, if you just cleaned everything, it's going to pull the images and it's going to start. So basically, it is starting about 4 services, as you're going to see. And everything you need to worry about Docker. You're not going to write anything in Docker. just simply using it to run our services. So the second thing after doing this, you can just go right now, go and migrate. So by default, we create for you a user and some blogs for starting your app. So you can just go ahead and run migrations. So I'm just going to clear this. And I can also migrate. So this just go ahead and run the migrations and should just bring you that migrations, they are complete or they have all run their migration successful. Let's just give it some seconds and it should just tell us that migrations have been run and they are all successful. If you run into problems with migrations, this is due to either the tables being skipped or you already have a running container with the because it uses the volumes to store like the local data, so it might be like resharing or using the volume across two apps. So what I would just check is like you check if you have all the Docker running, you might just need to clean out all the volumes you have and then rerun the app. So here you can see it has run everything and tells you migrations completed successfully. You need to see this message of migrations completed successfully. Then after the migrations, you're just going to go ahead and seed in some default. So like the migrations were creating tables, and now the seed is the one that adds the dummy data. The most important thing it creates for you an admin user to use. You can just go ahead and create your own user, but that user is going to be having a default of type user, the role of type user. So if you want to create an admin, just simply run seed. So I'm just going to say greet seed, and I made these commands to be so seamlessly easy. For example, greet migrate or greet seed. They were just like you see GitHub commands. That's why I created greet to be short and the commands to be really like this one. So just go ahead and run greet seed, and it will also tell you that database seeded successfully. So right now we are on right track. We migrated and seeded successfully. Everything is good. The next thing is to start your server. So I'm just going to go here and clear again. So I'm just going to go ahead and say greet start server, just like this. This one starts the servers. You can hear starts the API only, okay, in another tab. So this one can also just have to wait for it. Sometimes it can give you some errors. Take note if you have some errors, because as I've said, every time I just make changes in the documentation, even if it's just small thing in the CLI, it can affect something like the creation or anything. So if there's any bug you find as you're creating everything, just go to on the GitHub. So if you just go on Grit here, you can say there's a GitHub. Go on GitHub, give it a star, and just create your your issue. Create the issue, explain the problem very well. You can use AI to explain the problem. So for example, and it is good that I've gotten this problem when you're here. So for example, you can just get a problem. Now, if you don't know, for example, if you don't know, those who have pushed, who have pulled, you find this problem fixed because I actually fixed it. The only problem, I think I did not tag the latest version. So you might find this problem, but I'm just going to show you how to actually fix it, just in case if you're following this tutorial and you find this problem. So you can see this is actually coming from internal handlers, more especially into this file here, and it is saying that the service token something cannot index tokens, blah blah. Like you might just not need just this, but I'm just going to show you how to fix this. I'm just going to click onto the control click this, and it's going to take me to that file in the handlers. And possibly it's just like auth.go here. Okay, so I'm just going to see. For some reason, this right now it is not even showing the error. Let me just see where this is. So it is in auth.go line something like about 45 or line 25. So it is in auth.go in the handlers. So that's the same file. Yeah. So right now it is lighting red. So what you just need to do is to remove this one, all this inside here. Just going to say tokens. okay, dot, so I'm just going to say tokens dot, the first one was access token, and this one is the refresh token. So I'm just going to say tokens. Okay, tokens. I just need to remove everything in here, by the way. So just going to say tokens dot, this is refresh token, just like this. So this is what the problem is. The way the access, this is a type issue, but the other one still would work, but just has like types issues. So just simply just like access them, like the token, the access token and the refresh token. And this error or this bug came into after adding into the Google authentication and the GitHub authentication. By previous it was okay, so it is this in the 1.0. Wow, we have GitHub and Google Auth. Okay, so but by the time you watch this video, this problem either it is fixed, or if it's not, then I've shown you how to actually go ahead and fix it. So then I'm just going to go ahead and clear. So I'm just going to go ahead and say clear. I'm just going to go ahead and say grid start server like this. This is going to go ahead and start the server, and probably just going to ask me to allow service. Nice. And normally it brings me this pop-up. Do you want allow public and private network access to this app? I always say yes. Now in the comments, if you just know how to permanently just like allow this, I don't know, you could just like also tell me. But I like it because it actually tells me if my API has worked or not. So I always get this pop-up whether I'm using Grid or any Golang application. I always get this. So it's just something I just know it has worked. So right now you can see like a lot of things. The API documentation is running, Paris, Sentinel, GORM Studio, and all others are all up and running. Okay, so I'm just going to go right now. From here, you have now, we can start just like the front end. Since we started the server, I'm just going to open a new tab. I'm just going to say grid start client, just like this. Okay, nice. Okay, so we have the front end right now running both the web and the admin. So the next thing you can just do is now head to after this, you can just go ahead and log in with this because this was the one which was seeded. So you can just go ahead and use this. And I'm just going to go, always of course in production, just go ahead and change this. You can change this from the studio or anything, anywhere. Just going to go ahead and open localhost 3000 and we look on our app how it looks like right now. Okay, so I'm so much excited to see how this app looks. So you can see text in the app name, contact app YT. You have the admin, you have blogs. So you can check down here, we have this seeded blog. So this is the data that we seeded. When we ran grid seed, it added the user and also added these the blogs. So you can just click on the blogs. Of course, this also will just take you to the blogs page, dedicated page, and you can see that this is using also the how is it called, the rich text editor. So if you click on a blog, you see that they are using the rich text editor that you're going to build on it. So it comes automatically in it. I'm just going to click on admin to go ahead and log in. Okay, so when you click on the admin, these routes were on localhost 3000. You can send out these routes to localhost 3001 login, and this, the authentication part, all of it is actually attached on the admin part, and then the front end just uses authentication just like a normal Next.js app. So you can see down here we have also Google and GitHub. So if you just go in you want to test this out, you can just go in the env, and in the env you will just notice that you have a place to place your Google client and Google secrets. Okay, now this is going to I will talk about the Google authentication in another video. Right now, just want to simply test and show you the walkthrough of the app, of what you get out of the box. So right now, I'm just going to go ahead and sign in, because remember, it created as admin, and this is the password. I'm just going to click sign in, and you can see that it is extremely fast. Even the loading is not there. Okay, it is simply extremely fast, guys. So right now you can see that we have the cards, we have the users, we have blogs. You can just go ahead and add a new blog. Okay, just go like under the blogs. You can just go ahead and click on add new, and you can add including uploading even images. So you can just go ahead and add a new blog. You can add also the new users. Okay, so you can just go ahead and create a new user like this and assign them a role. So you can see that the user management is already there with even the roles. Okay, so these are things you don't need to care about them. You can just go in the light mode and dark mode. So if you have like any files uploaded, they will all be seen under here, which is really good to manage all your file storage. So right now what I want to show you are different dashboards and how to access them. Okay, so if you just go to the app right now, I'm just going to start with the first one, which is the GORM Studio. So the GORM Studio, you'll find it on 880 Studio, just like this. And this nicely brings you the login credentials. I worked so hard to make this happen so that the studio is protected by default. So just have to come here and add in this. So the details for the different logins, you'll find them in the environmental variables. So for now, I'm just going to add in the details, and then it will allow me to actually go ahead and log in. Let me just think that that's the login. Yes, so you can just see right now I can access the studio, and the studio right now, it is so advanced. So apart from these normal things of adding records and writing SQLs, you also have these tools, okay, whereby you can, I will have a time to talk about the studio, like a dedicated video about the studio, of how powerful the studio is, because it can give you things like this. You can export ERD diagrams. Look at this. Where do you get this? Look at this. Okay, so like we have ERD diagrams. You can just export schemas. You can import schemas. You can export even the GORM modules. So if I just want to download the modules, the way I have them here, maybe to use them in another app, I can just go ahead and download. I will have a dedicated video talk about the studio, because the studio is very powerful. It's a powerhouse. So right now let's look at another one. So I'm just going to go here. I'm just going to put in localhost 880, and I'm just going to put Sentinel. So here you can just go to Sentinel UI, and you can see the Sentinel UI also has a nice login. So you just have to log in to access this. And the Sentinel is our security powerhouse. So the security powerhouse, so the slates and all these, as you're running your app. So I'm just going to go here. So you can just go ahead and check the login details. As I've said, you just get them in your Envy, so you don't need to worry about what to add in. So I'm just going to go here, and I just add here this, and let me just go ahead and log in. So I'm in here, and as you can see here, it gives you a lot of things. Okay, it will be looking at your app as you're using it. It will just tell you the like, for example, the endpoints you are running, everything just like running. It will be explaining, and this we even have the live streaming of these ones. Okay, the threads. Then you have the actors. Then we have the IP management. We have the performance. Okay, so for example, here you can see the tutorial requests we have made right now. We have gone to the studio, and this is the, it tells you how much time you took, the average response time. So we have also this embedded into Sentinel. So you have like users who haven't just created the users and alerts, then the audit, WAF. So you can set your rules from here. This is normally done by Cloudflare, but I have it here. You can set all those rules to browse and IPs. You can white label some IP addresses and so many things. Then we have rate limit. So you can see here we have the default. We have 2 rate limits on the endpoints of the login and register to avoid just misusing these ones here. So you can just go ahead and also see that it is set in here. So then you have analytics. Okay, here there's nothing much right now because we haven't have the attacks and threat detections. We haven't have this. Then we have also reports. This is, you can just like generate a report for the GDPR and the PSI. So you have everything. Then we have this the AI insights. So because it comes with AI, you can just say, I want to have the AI analysis. You have to go ahead and provide, like maybe you want to use Gemini or you want to use Claude. Just set your API key in the env, and this it will give you the AI analysis. So it will take all that data, okay, it is already fading into, and then to just analyze that data, and it gives you more insights on your security. I will have detailed videos talking about these tools in separate. So we can just check out another one, which is just go here. I'm just going to go here on 880, and we're just going to go to parse. So parse is for just like performance. As I've said, you can disable these ones if you just don't want to use them. So I'm just going to try to also log in this one. So you can see already it tells you like this is the name of the app, contact app, as you can see it here. And it already just sees your requests. Okay, you can see, you see that your throughput, your errors, the activity average latency, the how many routines you have. For example, we have right now 38 routines. So it shows you the top routes right now. So like they get API users. We have done 3 requests and the average latency is 51 milliseconds. So this is really good, like to give you this. So you can just look at database. If, for example, there are slow queries, N+1 detections, patterns, slow queries, they will all appear here. Right now, we don't have any slow queries, but of course, as you write more code, you just start getting like these things, and you have someone to actually detect and tell that you have N+1 query here. Of course, if there are errors, it's going to put them here with their statuses, runtime. So you can see right now, this is really good. It tells you the go routines, the GC cycles, and the system memory you are actually using. Okay, you can see like this is typically good. So you can see like the system info, the go you're running here, the CPU, the host name, the uptime. You have all these details at your exposure that you might not just simply get when you're using any other framework. So when this in production, you can just be monitoring what's going on here. Mostly like with the memory. So there's health here, there's no health checks registered. You can just say, I'm just going to create dedicated videos on using these ones. Okay, we're just going to talk about these ones. You can export things like the JSON, CSV of this data, maybe take it to another tool for actually more further analysis. Okay, I think we have exploited all the ones I wanted to show you. The dashboard, specific dashboards for different things. So you can just go right now, test out the app. Maybe we could just go ahead and create, something so that you can just see how this works. Maybe I create, I don't know, a new user or something. So you can see how we have 2 users, one for the admin. So looking at the time, it's just about the 30 minutes. I wanted this video to be about 30 and below. It is already 32 minutes, and I just want to go ahead and stop this video here. But it gives you a really good walkthrough of what gets created. Okay, so in the next video, I'm just going to continue with this app, and then we'll just go ahead and continue with our contact app here. Okay, just going to continue with our contact app here. So just going to pause this and then resume with the next episode. Thank you so much. I will see you there. Hey, welcome. So in our previous video, we actually just started on GORM, the grid framework, and we have our app that we created. I still have my Docker running. I have everything still set the way we did. So right now I just want to go ahead and move some few commands, see how really get a taste of what is happening with this framework. So right now what we want to do, you want to build a simple app. So let me just first explain this app here, basically. So just want to create a simple app of a contact app. So a contact app is very easy. So for example, you have your, so it is made up of two models really. One is the groups, and then we have also the friends, or like the actual contacts. Sorry, not friends, like the actual contacts. So groups, you can create a group, for example, of friends. Then maybe let's say workmates, and then within these groups I can just now go ahead and create the contacts. So like in now I can create the contacts. So the contact has like something like the email, phone, and maybe also image. So I can just have like these here, and it will also belong in a particular group like this. Okay, so it just have like this is a simple app, a contact app, where you create a contact that belongs to a particular group. So we just have groups, and then we just create this one. So to create an app like this, it simply has one relationship, which is one to many. So like one group has many contacts. Okay, so a group has many contacts. That's the relationship, and this is very important to first identify the relationship, because this is going to help us when you're writing the grid commands to understand, because it's going to generate resources depending on this. So the first thing is, I'm just going to go back on my first app, so you can just like go ahead and check all the tools. That some other tools I've just not talked about, like Mailhog and also the Minio. You can just also go in the go and check them out. The dashboards are also there. So the first thing I'm just going to do is generate the resource. So like I want to create the grid. So when we talk about the resource, look at, for example, a group. The way we say we want to create like a group. So a group is a resource, which will have both the back end and also the front end. So right now, when we create generate the resource, it will create for you in the admin dashboard. You know how much time you take when you're just creating this sort of code. You have to go and create the forms, you have to create the types, you have to create the validations and everything. So by default, we actually do that for you by using this grid generate command. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a grid generate resource group. So the name of this is going to be called group. And these are the fields you want to pass in, like name, string, slug, and all this. So if you want to know how much you can create on this one, you can just go ahead and I will be showing you how to get more of these things. So if you just like go down here, you will be seeing, for example, we have the models, database, authentication, social login, migration seeders, and all these other things. So most of the things like I just have them here. For example, the form builder. So if you just go to look at these resources, you can just go ahead. There is resource definitions. So you can just go on resource definitions, and it will start telling you how the resources work, everything, how to do things. Okay. Then we have what else do we have under the these resources? We have the form builder, how you build the forms and the commands. But now just like for the step by step, you just get these ones as we go. So I will just copy this command. This is going to create a name. So a group will have fields like a name and a slug. Now for a slug, if you want to generate automatically, a grid is aware of the slug. So you just simply say slug of type slug. You don't even specify a name. So if you specify a name like this, it means you are specifically saying, I want the slug to be generated from the name. So just going to go ahead and run this on the terminal. So I'm just going to go ahead and close this. I'm just going to open new. So I'm just going to go ahead and type in this. Okay. So this was really quick, but let's look at what it actually created. So you can see generating resource group, and it does a lot of things it generated in your front in your backend. They created the models, services, handlers, schemas, and the types, and even these all these hooks in the front end. It created all these things for us. So basically what it means is, if I do this, okay, the next thing when you run that, it shows you the things it has done for you here. So we could also go ahead and generate the contact at the same time so that we run migrations at the same time. So let's understand this. So I'm just going to copy this command, then I will explain it here. So I'm just pasting this grid generate resource contact. Now we know that this is going to create a contact resource with all things in database and everything. And then we specify the name. The one most important thing is this thing, the image. Okay. The image, and also this thing where we have the group. So you can see I pass in, because we know that the contact should have the group and the relationship belongs to. So this contact belongs to a group. Okay. So you have to specify the relationship. There is a dedicated documentation for that of the relationships. You can just go here. I didn't want to cross the page I was on. So you can just go down here where we have the relationships and how to handle them in the command. But this belongs to, for example, this adds the category ID, blah, blah. They can preload this and everything. Okay. So you put like the category and you said belongs to. Just like this, so you can see this goes ahead and creates that. So you can just like look at different relationships, but this is the most common one, the one-to-many. Okay, so you can see here it says string country, then this. Then for the image, you also need to look at the form builder. If you just go ahead and read about the form builder, you will see that there are different feeds. For example, images, videos. So if you want to add a video a feed as a video, if you just go to documentation and you go under the form builder here, you will see that it will tell you the different texts and their things, how you define them. We have the number, we have the select, we have the date picker, toggle, checkbox, and all these ones. Okay. So then we have also like the code gen. Just like go ahead and just like try these and see the different settings. But as we continue to do these videos, you just come to learn slowly. So if I write the name string and other things, just simply write them in the book. As we move on, we just come to learn all these ones. So right now I'm just going to go ahead and run this. The most important is the group belongs to. And you don't even specify this name of the group, but if you want, you can also just like specify the name of the group like this. Okay, so everything has been done right now. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to stop and run the server. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and stop I think the client, you can just leave the client, but normally what you want to stop is the server. So I'm just going to stop the server. Like so. I'm just going to start by running the migrate. So you can just say grid migrate. So this will just like put in migrate these new ones we have added, because we have added the contact and the group. So it should just migrate them to the database as just like any other place. You just simply migrate. And after the migrations, I think that's the only thing you have to do, just run the migrations. Let's see in here after on my first app. So after running these and running the groups, you say, okay, it's okay. So we have this. By the way, did we check out the docs? We didn't check out the docs. We'll check out the docs in this video. Okay, we'll check out the docs. So I'm just going to go ahead and start again. Like start the server. And I'll just go ahead and go to the dashboard. I'm just going to go back to the dashboard, which should be somewhere here. So you can see we have groups and contacts. I'm just going to go ahead and refresh to make sure everything is still okay. So if you just go to groups, you can say like we have groups right now, and you can just add new groups. I'm just going to go ahead and say friends. And you can see you don't have the slug because it's going to be auto-generated. So you say friends, and you say create. And you have this created. I'm just also going to create another one, workmates. Workmates, just like this. and create. And you can say this is extremely fast. I don't need to talk about how fast Grid is, but Grid is really fast. So I'm just going to go to contacts. Now, this is where the magic happens, because we made a relationship between the groups and the contacts. So want to see really if it can actually, without writing any single code, to actually link the contacts and the groups together. So I'm just going to go here, and I expect to see the groups down here. I don't know if they're there, but I have the image here, so I'm just going to say name. So I'm just like feed in here, like name is a Ugandan. So yeah, so I'm just going to add this. Let's add the image to see if the image is going to work. Okay, just going to go and put the name like of this. I'm just going to go ahead and use this. Open. So you say no file uploaded. Okay, so just going to check on that. I'm just going to go here and click on this and look at this. We have even the search working, so I can just say like workmates, like this. Now for the image, I might just need to go ahead and see what the problem is right now with the image. Okay, they say an empty source was passed to the source attribute, blah, blah, like the preview. I don't know. So if that is the case, as we said, when you just get any errors right now, or you just get any anything that is not working, just go to the GitHub, create an issue. I will just go ahead and fix it. Let's go ahead and create, and this just creates like this. So you can see how fast we have. Like we have this, the name, and it is linked to the group workmates. Okay, I can create another one. I'm just going to change maybe the name to Kawes Sam. Just going to say here, for example, the email is going to be Sam, and then the phone number maybe let's say 076 something. I'm just going to say this comes from another country, maybe Kenya. So for example, if you want to make this, we'll be seeing if I want to make this like a drop down, and I have the how do I change this in the form builder? Because this is powered by the form builder. And I'm just going to go ahead and select the group. I'm just going to put in friends. So the image, we saw that the image has a problem, that is for sure. I don't know, because of the field I specified. I'm just going to go ahead and add this. So the image still, I say no file provided. We see that. So create. So we have this working. If I just go back to the groups, you can see that we have two groups with even the slugs and everything here. Now we can filter by this. We can hide the columns. We have pagination. We have the view. We have also the edit and so many other things. So at least the CRUD, the simple CRUD comes where it is working. You don't need to worry about this. This is same as the filament, what filament gives you to be able to build the forms, to be able to build the data tables. So we can just now go ahead and check on the docs. Okay, just want to go and check on the docs. So if you just go here, we have the studio. You can look at your data in the studio, of course. If we refresh, it should give us the groups, and you can also still create the groups from this side. They tell you that you can also just create the groups from this side, and then also you have the contacts. You can also create from here. You can query. You can do everything, and even the relationships, you can see them here. It adds to the how many relationship this has. It has so far now one relationship. I just want to go ahead and check on the. Just want to go ahead and check on the API. So let's go ahead, instead of studio, in this one, I'm just going to say docs, like this. Okay, so you can see like we have the docs. Nice docs, by the way. They have, of course, light mode and the dark mode. You can turn back to Swagger if you like Swagger. So you can select this comes giving you the Swagger like this. And you can see switch back to Scalar. I like Scalar me personally, so I just always use Scalar like this. So you can see like if you just go to list like the blogs, let's say click test, and you send this. So you get that this is unauthorized. Authorization header is required. So this is super protected. Of course, if you wanted to see the front end ones, the public ones go to under blogs, like not contacts, but blogs here, because these ones are public. So you can just go ahead and do this, and we can just say, go ahead and see this. Okay. So this is really cool that this comes by default, everything working. Like, can you imagine, like, if you have a framework that does all this work for you? Like, this is life changer. So even the Sentinel, or the how many APIs that are getting injected by Sentinel, you find them here. Like, this is Sentinel, this is Paris. So you can what means that you can actually build a, like, within the admin dashboard, you can tap into the Sentinel API and use this. Okay, it gives you a list of actors, it gives you everything. The same thing with Paris, and the same thing with Studio. Okay, so like, this is really cool. Then you look at the uploads models. So you can just look at all these, the models so far we have. You can just go into details and read about them. How cool is this? How cool is this, guys? Like, you look at the model blog and you can study more about it, the details of it and everything. Yeah, and this is great, guys. Welcome to Grit. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you in the next one. We're going to be building small apps. I know it's going to take baby steps for people to master this, but generally we are going to get there. And I'm so much excited of how things look like. If you like it, please go on GitHub and give it a star, and also like this video. Thank you so much. I will see you in the next one.